What's up, everyone? It's your boy Zero Brew coming back at you with another video. Now, we had something happen last night in the stream. I just wanted to make a video on it because it was the wildest thing. We had to go in and investigate exactly what happened in live arena with me. So I want to break that down and also just identify something with Volcanos and a potential gear set was what we have determined what caused what happened in the game happen. So I want to talk about that as well. And yeah, just a quick little video on this. And I think the other thing that I just kind of want to say, just in general, like I wish we had more of an indication of what's happening in the fights, especially in the competitive live arena fights. I know we've discussed ad nauseum about relics, and first of all, knowing what relics champions have and what mechanics relics kind of have in the game, meaning like if a relic's like something happens with a relic, you don't really know that it's happening. Now I think they did add some things with like the wand of submission, because you can kind of see that get reflected, or at least it happens more often. And I just kind of want to also talk about Marius, because it happened all about Marius. So let's talk about it. Let's get into it. I'm going to try to not make this a super long video, but it was interesting, and it's wild to see the breakdown.
Real quick, click the link in my description to get a free Karato, as well as Annex, Ugo, and Mausoleum Mage as you level up. Here's how to do it. Log out of Player and Play on a PC and uninstall. Click the link in my description and register with a brand new email. Launch raid and complete the tutorial. Go to your inbox and claim your first champion. Get an awesome start in Raid Shadow Legends with your free Karata Fox Hunter, as well as 3 epic champions. Hit the link below and claim them today. I'll see you in the game. Woo!
So I had to get the highlights so you get to see the double mint twin over there, Zero Brew. I don't know what's going on with that look on my face, but yeah. So this is the team that fought. I banned the Torments. I went with Arbiter. They did let me keep the Arbiter. They got rid of my Gizmac. But first of all, I mean, you can already tell it's going to be a disgusting fight, right? So you've got, you know, all the crazy control, no revivers, but they had Volcanos and Nail. By the way, Volcanos was just on the Prism Shard event, so if you happen to get him, good luck with that. And of course, they've got the Arena blessings on them, both at 5 stars. So, or excuse me, yeah, hers is 4-star, but she gets the bonus for the poison damages, which is insane for Nail. And she probably has an Arachnid Elixir on her as well. Again, don't really know because you can't really find out in arena fights. And then Volcanos, he has the Inferno piece here. And of course, he's just really disgusting as well. And we'll get into the details on that. So let me just fast forward this fight a little bit. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna play the video. I'm gonna turn off the sound because y'all don't need to hear the sound. I'm just gonna play the video. So this is my standard. I did get to go first. And of course, I do have Marius. Let me pause it here real fast. I do have Marius, and they let me keep the Marius. So I was like, okay, I at least stand a chance in this fight, because obviously Marius's passive, she puts up the basically can't do any damage to me if a poison or HP burn or, you know, a handful of other debuffs happen. So I was like, okay, I at least have this to protect long enough so I can get my nukes off, and they don't have a reviver. Now, 4-piece stone skin. So first problem in this fight was like, oh man, they got the stone skin. I got to be able to rip that off. So I did take the Mariska and I did do the cleanse, and she gets to go again because we would cleanse off X amount of items. Now, obviously when you receive buffs, that's the passive of Nil being able to put more poisons and stuff on. The other thing I want to say, and of course, I did the other thing with the buffs, and again, that's Volcanos and Nail, and you can see both of their passives popping off right there. Black Teeth's Buffet, and then Surging Demon Fire popping off, and that basically allows for the burns and the poisons to go off when you're receiving buffs. We'll look at those passives here so you can see exactly what's happening. Black Teeth's Buffet and Surging Dooflicky. All right. So the other thing that happened here, and I just want to say this about Marius. Marius is by far one of the best legendaries in the game. For those of you who don't know his kit, I will say that Marius, every time I use him, I'm to the point now where I'm going to stop using his A3. He has such an amazing A2 where he hits 3 times. Each hit decreases the duration of all enemy buffs. This also has an opportunity to rip off the stone skin. So I was thinking, oh my gosh, they all had stone skin. I need to get my Marius and get him to go. I am losing more and more fights with this, and primarily because of Wand of Submission, right? Again, you want the increased accuracy to help him do his juju, plus the increased defense. And really it's the increased defense because his damage is based on defense and enemy max HP, but you want to get the increased defense, double down on what he's bringing to the table, and, you know, he can nuke really, really hard. The other thing that is a nice item with this, besides the extra turn that you get to let him, you basically set up yourself and then go in and hit, you do add a stun debuff on the enemy with the highest turn meter. And typically that will land on one of their faster support champions, right? Typically the faster support champions have the wand of submission and you get self-stun back. So right now in the game, I'm considering stopping using this skill altogether on Marius because he will take the stun back and then it shuts down. I've lost countless fights at this point when he gets stunned and doesn't get to do his A2. I'm like, oh, I maybe rope-a-doped, they went first, I survived. I'm like, okay, now it's my turn to hit back with Marius, this fight is over. And I stun myself and the fight ends up ending. That did not happen to us in this fight. I'll show you the breakdown of that. But because I had the unblockable and this grants an extra turn, I didn't take any damage from the poisons and whatnot. And then I did my next turn. And here, let's just show you that piece of the fight now. So when I go to do my piece, and let me pause it again. Actually, yeah, there, you just saw it. Let me actually rewind. Here we go. Just watch it happen. Boop, die. And then I'm like, wait, are you kidding me? What just happened? Okay, so we're gonna break that down. But the main thing to note is I did my A3. I'm in the way, you can't really see it, but I did my A3 here. And because I did my A3, I get my extra turn. At the start of your turn, HP burn and poisons hit. However, you have the unblockable there. And so that really doesn't hit you at all. So I hit play and you can see that I took 0 damage. Note my life bar is still good to go. I did take more burns and more poisons with their passives. You can see the Black Teeth Buffet, Surging Demon Fire happening again because I did take buffs. And actually the entire team took buffs. Then because the unkillable fell off, I did take the poisons and the burn damage, which took me down to there's my life bar, right? So when my extra turn went, I go into my second turn, then the poisons and the burns that were on me activated, took me down to a sliver of my life, but I survived. Again, I should never just use my A3. I might have won this fight. I digress. Here we go. So what happens here? Keep in mind, it's a triple attack. Each attack has a chance to decrease the duration of buffs. First hit lands, I did decrease the debuffs on Empress, but I was fully expecting the second and the third hit to go and potentially rip more stone skin off and kill at least the Empress here is what I was hoping for, right? First hit hits and I died. So there's nothing really in the game that kind of tells you do see the Surging Demon Fire and of course the Incinerate. So that gives us an indication, meaning the burn activated to kill me, but how could the burn activate? So let's go in and look at both of those champions and determine that. Okay, we start with Nail because we saw the Black Teeth Buffet happening, but just so you can see what this does, again, as a refresher, whenever an enemy receives a buff, is healed, or has their turn meter increased by a skill, places a 5% poison debuff on that enemy for 2 turns, will ignore block debuffs buffs. Increases champion's turn meter by 5% for each poison debuff placed by this skill. So that is happening, and she hadn't changed forms or anything yet, but that's how the poisons are getting on. And then let's go to Volcanos. So Volcanos is disgusting, but read his passive, which of course, you get all the different things for the unities. And again, I wasn't seeing how many other demon spawns are on this team, but whenever an enemy receives a buff or has their turn meter increase, has a 50% chance to place an HP burn debuff on that enemy for 2 turns. If the enemy already has an HP burn debuff, has a 50% chance to instantly activate it. We talked about this in another video, but if multiple champions on the team, only one of these skills will activate, okay? So that part of it is important. Going back to the fight, I can go ahead and tell you what happened. So the burn's out there, and when I did the first hit, basically the HP burn activated because of Volcanos's passive. And again, we'll look at that one more again. And that's the answer. But the other thing I had to investigate were relics too, because I just didn't understand what was going on. But again, if an enemy has a HP burn and it has a 50% to instantly activate this instead. But while I was investigating this, I was like, well, hold on. I already had the HP burn, so I get it. The burn activated, but I don't understand because I already had the burn out there. What really happened here, and how did this passive happen in the middle of my skill? I can understand it if it happened before or after, and we saw it happen before when I had the unkillable happen. And of course, we added it and probably activated it when I did the buffs. And so you saw that happen. That's how my life bar got knocked down. So again, the unkillable's up. I go and do the buffs and I get all the stuff activated that includes the poisons. So right here, I'm like, okay, all that makes sense. Why did I die in the middle of my fight? I'm going to tell you. But before we got there, the other thing we had to investigate is the relics. And then people in the chat last night were like, oh, what about Valkanen's Grass? So where reflects 5% of the damage absorbed by block damage or unkillable buffs back to the attacker. So this is if your champion has block damage or unkillable, you'll just reflect 5% of the damage back. That would make sense, but there was no block damage or unkillable up on Volcanos in this example, so this wouldn't have happened. And again, you want a champion that's going to constantly have that on them for Valkanen's Grass to actually take place. But that would have made sense. 5% of the damage absorbed back. That would have made sense. Okay, here's the culprit. I'm going to tell you what the culprit was after trying to figure it all out. So we go back and we look at our Marius, and unfortunately, I don't have the ability to put him in a 9-piece Slayer set. However, I do have him in, at least, well, I have him in 6 pieces of Slayer to get the ignored defense when using AoE skills. And of course, his A2 and his A1 are AoE skills. Would love to get him in a 9-piece Slayer set. 4-piece Slayer fills this champion's turn meter by 5% per the first hit on each enemy from AoE attacks. That's what killed me. How did that kill me? Again, the very first hit of his AoE, it's a triple hitter on his A2. It fills my turn meter by 5% per the first hit on each enemy. So really what happened is this activated and probably gives me 25% turn meter boost. So Slayer set on Marius is great. Now, if I had just done the A2, I had the block damage up or the piece up, it wouldn't have killed me. But because I went and then at the beginning of my turn, I took all that damage, but the Slayer set is actually what killed me here. I'll just show you one more time and go and show you the Volcanos because it was turn meter. So it says, whenever an enemy receives a buff or has their turn meter increase, has a 50% chance of placing the HP debuff on the champion. They already have the HP burn, which I did at the time, has a 50% chance to instantly activate it instead. So his passive triggered and activated because the Slayer set gave me turn meter boost on the AoE attack. So Slayer, in this case, against the Volcanos, killed me with the AoE. So I think that all checks out, but when it happened at the time, it took me a while. And of course, chat was helping us last night to try to determine this, but that is what happened. So I will say, if you have an AoE nuker going into Volcanos, this is something to consider, especially if they're a multi-hitter. I was fully expecting the triple hit to hit and get my damage off, rip off that stone skin and set it up for my other nukers to go on that team. And again, I had what's his face ready to go, Siegfried ready to go and hit super hard if I had ripped off. And again, we ripped off one of the stone skins. And then of course, you can imagine what happened after this. We instantly just get smoked by this team. So shout out to whatever your name is. You smoked us on this fight, but I thought it was an interesting brainchild to go in and try to understand exactly what's going on this. And I don't know how Plarium could explain this in the game other than you do see the passive firing off there and the incinerate also firing off again on that. So the 50% hit, and then we took the damage after the first hit, which was also interesting because it happened right after the first hit. And of course the 5% was enough to kill me in this fight. Yeah, I was able to revive him, and of course all these extra buffs and the poisons and burns at this point, we are Dunsky. And of course now you got the passive for Empress going off, and we're just toast here. Complete and total toast jam. Yeah, it was a wild fight. So it very much confused me. Hopefully this was really cool to kind of see and understand the breakdown and how you have to maybe kind of understand this stuff. I will say for Plarium, please allow us to understand more about the relics when they are happening at the time, even if it's some sort of indication on the screen or something that says, yeah, you just got killed by a relic, or the relic has stopped your progression. Let me know what you think about this video. Also, are you going to stop using the A3 on Marius? Because had I not done that, I probably would have, I don't know if I would have won this fight because this dude had his team all stacked up completely. But I did have a better opportunity to win this fight had I just done the A2, ripped off all that stone skin and set up Siegfried in here to nuke the crap out of one of these champions and get the kill. So let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks so much. Much love for all the support, and we'll holler at you next time. Bye.